Welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and in this episode we're taking a look at a new Marvel Studios Marvel Select figure by Diamond Select from one of the real hit Marvel Studios shows that's come out in recent times, and that would be Wandavision. And today we're taking a look at one of those title characters here, because we got ourselves a figure of the Scarlet Witch. Wanda Maximoff here, played by Elizabeth Olsen, and expertly played, I should add too, because that's such a great series for her in particular. This is our Wandavision version of this character in action figure form. Now, Hasbro has already done their Marvel Legends version of her. Of course, that's going to be slightly different scales. We'll see when we take a look at this figure out of the packaging. But yeah, we now have two companies who have done versions of the Scarlet Witch. Who ultimately did it better? Well, that's going to be where you guys come in later on to help me figure that one out. But for now, let's go ahead first and talk about this packaging here. And the packaging is identical to pretty much any Marvel-style figure that has come out from Diamond Select. A lot of the figures now from Diamond have been in more rectangular, smaller kind of packaging, but all the Marvel figures are still in this very large type of display here, which has this great big hunk of plastic that lets you see inside the packaging and really lets you see every single thing this toy is coming with, which is a pretty decent amount of stuff, all things considered. We also have her name on one side of the box, and as the box rotates, you'll see we have a great photo of Elizabeth Olsen in her outfit. And I use the term photo loosely because it basically is an illustration of her, but it's very photorealistic here. So it could ultimately just be a photo of her that they kind of put a filter on, or maybe someone actually hand painted it, or it's some concept art. I don't quite know, but it looks really cool either way, so I'm happy with it. The back of the box has a photo of the Scarlet Witch figure standing up, lets us see a real great look at her, and gives us a very small bio about who this character is, and I mean really small. This is literally a 2-sentence bio here, so we're not really getting much at all. We're getting very little context to the series as well. It's just basically telling you what her powers are, and that's the end of it. It's also very tiny, and I don't quite know why that font is so unnecessarily tiny considering how much real empty space here there is in this packaging. Now granted, a lot of space here in this section is actually taken over by that WandaVision poster, which is, I think, a little bit unnecessary, but chances are that was probably something Disney wanted them to do, so they might have had their hands tied there. That said, it does let us know that this piece was designed by Eamon O'Donoghue and sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. So if you're a Mint on Card collector, the packaging is pretty much what you're used to dealing with. But hey, we're not Mint on Card collectors here. If we did, that would make for a very terrible video because it basically will be done now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our Scarlet Witch out of the packaging and take a closer look at her from all angles. Alright, you guys, here we go. Here is our Scarlet Witch out of the packaging, and look how nice this figure is looking. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about here with this figure, and I think, just the first initial glance though, first initial impressions of it are that I am impressed. And I want to mention, by the way, she's not on a stand or anything right now, she is perfectly balancing herself, so that's a big plus right away. But yeah, overall, just, quick attention to details are here, hair is looking good. There's a lot of high points we're going to talk about here. Let's start with the likeness and ask the question, does this look like the Scarlet Witch from WandaVision? Does it look like Elizabeth Olsen? And I think the head here is very good. I mean, yeah, you definitely have her face down. The expression is rather vapid and uninspired, but that tends to be how most companies do female figures, unfortunately, is they don't really give them too much of an expression on their faces. It's very blank. They're worried about putting lines and things on their faces, making them look too angular. So unfortunately, you get then sculpts like this, where they're wonderfully sculpted, and it really is. And it's got an amazing paint job too, by the way. It's a beautiful head sculpt, but it's a little blank. So, for better or for worse, it's a little bit blank here. But yeah, great detail, especially the paint. Paint is one of those things on Diamond Select figures that can be absolutely hit or miss. But this one, definite knockout, definite 10 out of 10 here on the paint job. Very subtle paint job. I guess that's the thing here, is when we often look at these figures, trying to move around without knocking her over, we really look at men for the most part. And the men are painted very differently, especially when you look at how our Scarlet Witch here is painted up. It's a lot more subtle, a lot more variations in the hue, a lot softer transitions. It's really beautiful, honestly. Like, I wish they did more female figures, because I feel like I haven't really looked at too many from them on this channel in a long time. And this is absolutely, I'm holding her by her cape, by the way, that's why she keeps falling over. This is definitely one of the best head sculpts I think I've seen them done, and best paint jobs on a head also. And that's even factoring in those Lord of the Rings figures that I rave about, which I think are gorgeous. But, something about this figure and the way it's done and how soft and delicate the features look too, it's really, really knockout. It's a gorgeous figure. And that hair too, by the way, the hair is amazing. Let's actually turn her around and get a better look at all that hair, because I'm a sucker for good flowing hair on an action figure, and this one totally nails that. It's got it in spades. This is great looking hair. I like the shade as well in it. Yeah, this is a perfect Elizabeth Olsen head sculpt, absolutely. And that's not all, because we actually have a second one to look at, which is right here. This Elizabeth Olsen head sculpt, which is almost identical, actually. I think it's actually the exact same head sculpt. Difference being is that this one's still standing while the other one has been knocked down. The difference really being between the two is her hair, and this one has a hood. So why don't I go ahead, let's actually swap them out right now and see how they look. See if we can swap it out. All right. So by the way, as you can see, the cape does come off. So if you want to have her without that and just pop this back on, you can totally do that. But for this, we do need this back here because this is her hooded head after all, so it wouldn't make sense to not have that. Here we go. Let's see if we can pop this back in. All right. So that's more or less in. I don't think it's all the way in the place where it should be, but it's mostly there. So I'll take it for now, for at least for the time being, for this comparison, just so you guys can see what it looks like. So yeah, it's basically the exact same head. There's like no difference between how the facial expressions are. The only difference is the hair and that it's got a hood. I think, yeah, even her, even the headpiece is the same. So it's just her in a hood here. But it's cool for having the storytelling option, you know, having our little red Scarlet hood. That's how the hood looks like from behind also. So yeah, nice detail there. It fits the same texture of the cape as well. But I'm going to keep it with the other head sculpt. So let's actually put this one back on and we'll keep doing the review from there. So it just takes a little bit of wiggling and then you'll get it here. But yeah, let's move on. Let's go back now to looking at this outfit. And do we like how this looks? Is this outfit screen accurate? I would say more or less, yeah. I think this is looking very nice as well. Got a lot of great details in here. A lot of nice textures. Colors are really great too. It's this kind of deep, dark crimson in the outfit that I think is wonderful. Very deep red and totally fits, looks right. I think everything here is looking pretty good. Yeah, I like also the texture, the patterns within the outfit. Again, that cape is really nice also. Good looking textures in that. It's not just a flat piece of nothing fabric. There actually is stuff going on there. There's some attention to detail within that cape. So yeah, outfit looks good. No complaints really here from me on that element of it. It's just looking very strong overall. So let's get into one of what I think is going to be one of the weaker parts, unfortunately, and that is articulation. And that's going to probably be a little bit weaker just because there's a few things in the way, but it's not going to be too terrible. So we already know that the head is ball jointed, and I guess it wasn't actually all the way because that just popped out. That is something I have a little bit of an issue with right now, is just getting the head all the way in there, and that's because it's very soft. It's a very soft head sculpt, it feels like, so you know, it's one of those things where if you had like a blow dryer to heat it up, it would probably go on a lot easier. But speaking of shoulders, they do move, but you got a cape in the way, so that's not going to move much. And our elbows are ball jointed, but they're very, very, very stiff out the box. So stiff that they would break. I can tell they're going to break if I don't heat them up, so I'm not really even going to try at this moment to do that. Our hands can bend and flex. I'm going to try swapping those a little bit later because we have some extra hands to top out, that is. Legs are over here, hands are over there. Her waist does not move, but her upper torso does. You can see the cut over there, but it's a little hard to actually move it because of the cape. Same with her legs. You guys can see their bullet jointed legs. They can probably, you know, go super duper flexible, as you can see from our Iron Man over here, who can do a total split. Yeah, our Scarlet Witch here cannot do that because basically her dress, her skirt, whatever you want to call it, is in the way. So that's not moving anytime soon. She has double jointed knees, which are really nice. She has a boot cut, which means that can move. She has the thigh cut, which means that can move. And the ankles are nice and roller joints, but again, this giant skirt thing here just blocks all that articulation, so she's not going to be moving much, not unless you took that off, which you could, I think, if you wanted to, but yeah, not worth it and not going to do it. So let's talk about accessories, and that's where some extra value comes in here, because she's got a lot. So we already talked about her extra head sculpt, which, again, looks really great, even if it's just, you know, just a different hairstyle and a hood, but it looks good. But in addition to that, we have an extra pair of hands. And, you know, the hands she has right now are just kind of your generic grippy hands. But she comes with some witching hands. She got some witchy fingers right here. So let's pop those out and see how those do. And then we'll get a close-up of them. And I have a feeling these will pop in and out fairly easily. Yeah, those are going nice and easy. Let's get rid of this hand too. Swap that out. And we got our Hexen fingers now. She is a Hex girl after all. Wait, that's a different franchise. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet, by the way, because I was waiting until we got to this point here, was some of the paint on her arms and how it's not so good, especially on this arm that I'm playing with right now. Oh, that's so stiff it is. You can see a lot of red has run off that, and it's just like on her bicep. That's not a good look. Yeah, that part is definitely a negative detractor. It's going to be one of those things where you want to look at your figure, I guess, before you buy it, but yeah, just something to notice. So yeah, these are her other hands, and by the way, really cool little detail here you can see on this hand, and it's on both hands. She has a ring on that finger, so how about that, you guys? So in addition to that, we get 4 different witchy effects, if you will, some Scarlet Witch power effects. So what we have are 2 of these little orby guys here, and then we have some small hex balls that are kind of being launched, I guess you could say. I don't really quite know what you want to call them, but yeah, we got a few hex effects. So let's see how those would actually fit in here. Because I think they're just basically orbs. We have to just find a way to kind of get them onto her hand or on her fingers or something. Yeah, they're kind of odd. Let's see, I guess the one we could probably put in her hand like it's kind of brewing, if you will. So we can do that. And that looks pretty good. And let's see if we can get another one perhaps on her fingers and her hands. Like I would imagine that this is the kind of thing you could probably like figure out a way to get between her fingers, and that would look really nice and give us the effect we're looking for here. It's just going to take a little bit of work to find that, I think. And a little bit of patience, which, you know, I don't have. Who are we kidding? I'm basically trying to figure out the best way to put them into her hands. I'm not quite sure what that is, unfortunately. So this is that part of the video where I turn to all of you guys. And you guys let me know how this stuff should actually be fitting onto her hands, because that's a bit of a mystery. And it's one of those things I wish Diamond did better, because it's always been a problem, at least for me. You know, like the Avatar figures had the same kind of issues, the deluxe ones, where like, you know, didn't quite know what to do with some of the power effects, and therefore they just kind of looked very awkward and funny because I didn't know what to do with them. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't really know what to do here either, so I'm going to have to not include them. They look really nice, but I have no idea what to do with them. So, anybody out there knows, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Please, please let me know. Let's do a few figure comparisons here, and since we got some magic going on here, let's bring in a Mattel Sorceress figure from He-Man Revelations, which is, in my opinion, the best He-Man figure from Revelations from Series 1. And she's pretty much in scale. I was not expecting that. But I guess these figures are a little bit bigger than Marvel Legends, I guess, so that would make sense that, yeah, these He-Mans are slightly bigger. And speaking of, I do have a Marvel Legend right here. I got myself a Silver Centurion Iron Man. They're not too far off in height either. But why don't we actually keep things in the cinematic universe here, and I've got a Valkyrie figure from Thor Ragnarok. Let's see if I can A, get her to stand, and B, see how she stands up next to her. And okay, she's not going to stand at the moment. I got to get her legs in a better position. I need to get a base for her. But yeah, I mean, you know, surprisingly, Scarlet Witch, she is bigger, but not that much bigger. So, okay, surprisingly, she can actually fit in with some of these other figures. But how does Scarlet Witch stand up next to a few other Diamond Select figures? Well, we already saw him doing a split earlier. Why don't we bring in Silver Centurion Iron Man and see how he looks next to her? And yes, as expected, he looks much, much bigger. And likewise, I would imagine the same is going to be for the Diamond Select Boba Fett figure, one of my favorites they've done. Yeah, absolutely big. So, you know, Scarlet Witch is interesting because she is a Diamond figure, but she's not too big compared to other toy lines. So I think that's actually a really big plus about her. So let's do final thoughts now on Scarlet Witch, and overall I'm actually very, very impressed here. You know, I think one of the problems I had was, as you saw, trying to figure out what to do with those bizarre, weird little power effects, which do look really nice. I mean, again, here they are, you can see them all. They're really cool looking. I just don't quite know what to do with them. So yeah, that part kind of lame, but are they needed for me to enjoy this? Nah, they're just bonuses, really. And I could say the same thing about her extra head sculpt here. It's kind of just a nice little bonus to have it, but I don't need it to enjoy the figure. But I do like it. I'm glad it's there. What I do like are the extra different hands. Those are really cool to have. And a base will be nice too, but as you can see, she doesn't really even need the base. She's doing a great job just kind of standing up on her own. But yeah, you know, again, likeness is amazing. Like, this is one of the best likenesses ever from Diamond Select, with one of the best paint jobs they've done on a figure ever, in my opinion. So as far as that goes, that's great. Costume is great. Articulation is pretty solid too. She's not going to be doing a lot of crazy poses anyway, so, you know, the lack of some posability here and there, not a major hindrance to me. What's really most important is, in this case, the look, the aesthetic, and especially that head sculpt. And in those elements, they absolutely nailed it. So I got no complaints about those things at all. I think I can easily give this figure a high recommend from me, and if you want this for yourself, I believe this might actually be a Shop Disney exclusive. So if it is, you're going to have to go to Disney's website and pick her up from there. But on the off chance that she's on Amazon, I'm going to have a link for her as well in my description in the video. So go ahead and take a look at that in the description below, and if I've got it, well, then go ahead and please use it. It'll help me out, and it costs you nothing extra to use that link. So that's our look at Diamond Select's Marvel Select Wandavision version of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. A must-have figure if you're collecting any of these types of figures. You know, I actually missed out on the Winter Soldier Falcon, which I do need to still get. That was an amazing figure, and I gotta find that. That's gonna be a review for another day, hopefully. But yeah, don't miss out on these Marvel Cinematic Universe figures, because they are definitely some of the most top-notch work that Diamond is doing. And I know I, for one, will not be missing any more of these either. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.